Hello everyone, welcome back to another Commander review for Magic the Gathering. Today we are still in the Betrayers of Kamigawa set and we are talking about Kodama of the Center Tree. Many Kodamas, and today we're talking about the center one. It is a legendary spirit. It has a power and toughness of star, which we'll get right into. And it has a mana value of 5, 4 generic, and 1 green. Am I recording? Am I recording? Yes, I am. Good heavens, that would be terrible if I wasn't. Kodama has a static ability. It has 2 static abilities, actually, which are really nice. The first one is Kodama of the Center Tree's power and toughness are each equal to the number of spirits you control. So that explains the star, including itself. So at minimum, this will be a 1/1 when you play it, because it does count itself. It just counts the number of spirits you have in general. The second static ability is Kodama of the Center Tree has Soul Shift X, where X is the number of spirits you control. And just a quick reminder, I'm sure it'll be in the rules section of this video, but just a quick reminder on Soul Shift. Soul Shift X is when this creature dies, you can return a spirit with mana value less than or equal to X from the graveyard to your hand. So if this has Soul Shift 3, when it dies, you can return a mana value 3 or less spirit from your graveyard to your hand. So then you can play it again. And the idea for this block was there was like a really cheap spirit that had like Soul Shift 7 on it. So like you could cycle through this over and over again, because you would get down to Soul Shift 1, you'd bring this one back to your hand, play it. When it dies, you can reanimate something super big to your hand and restart the cycle. So really cool stuff, and really cares about spirits. And my button doesn't want to work with me, so I'm going to get my mouse in play here. There we go. Alright, a couple rules for this commander, just 2 to be in fact. The first one is Soul Shift is a leaves the battlefield trigger. So the game state is referenced immediately before the Soul Shift trigger to determine the value of X. Soul Shift X includes Kodama of the Center Tree, so X is always at least 1. That is important to know, because if someone plays a board wipe and it destroys all of your spirits, you might say to yourself, oh, well, there's 0 spirits in play, so X must be 0. But Soul Shift cares about what's current. This Soul Shift currently cares about what's happening like at the time before it died. So if you had 3 spirits in play, Soul Shift would be 3. Because 3 spirits were in play before the board wipe. So there's the clarification on that rule. And then Kodama of the Center Tree can return itself to its owner's hand if you control 5 or more spirits when it is put into the graveyard from the battlefield. And I really, really love that. That's super cool. That this is a Soul Shift creature that you can return itself. Because again, it cares about how many spirits were in play at the time it died, including itself, because it was in play when it got destroyed. So it does include itself. So if Soul Shift is 5 or more, then you can Soul Shift itself back to your hand, which I think is a really cool source of recursion. Just be mindful that, obviously, if there was a board wipe happening, then when you return this to your hand and you play it again, you're going to have pretty much an empty board at that point, so Soul Shift is going to be very small. And its power and toughness will be very small if it was removed from a board wipe. But 5 or more spirits, you can reanimate itself to your hand, which is really, really cool. A card I chose to synergize with this commander is it's a spirit, it cares about spirits, so Elder Pine of Jukai is just a great, another great version of this effect, where it wants you to play spirit and arcane spells, so you can ramp cards, specifically so you can ramp land cards into your hand, so you can always be doing your land drops never miss a turn, and eventually take the lead on the board. Speaking of spirits and arcane spells, that is the deck that I am building for this commander. Good old Kamigawa block style spirit and arcane is the theme I'm going for, because I really wanted, I don't think I've ever explained this before with any of these commanders, but the reason why I'm okay and wanting to do the spirit and arcane strategy for spirits is because if you do spirits in general, there are some great cards in there. We've had a lot of spirit support throughout the years of Magic's history, but this is a really cool, niche, and unique deck idea to build around, and I am a personal big fan of it. I think it's really cool to be playing with splice into arcane mechanics, and really utilize these OG Kamigawa spirits and like what they were all about in a format like Commander. My group is pretty casual for the most part, so like being able to play with these unique niche deck ideas I think is really cool. It's going to make for great experiences at the table. A popular deck idea on EDH Rec is of course maintaining that need to have spirits in play, because you want to have as many spirits as possible for your commander. But this is a +1/+1 counters deck, where the spirits you have care about +1/+1 counters. You want to be using spells to put +1/+1 counters on your commander and kind of go big and Voltron, or even go big and wide with your army of spirits, and then really take advantage of those counters, give them cool keywords, and overrun your opponents. And then lastly, a weird, unique, janky deck idea. This commander obviously cares about having a lot of spirits in play, and green is one of the best colors at copying tokens, with the need that it needs help in creating non-token creatures into tokens. So fortunately, one of the greatest cards to do that is Helm of the Host. There are a few other ways to get around that are artifacts or colorless. But once you have the creature token version of Kodama, green is fantastic at making more tokens of that token. So you could build an army of Kodamas that have insane power and toughness. And as far as your commander version, the actual non-token version, as long as you can maintain a high number of spirits, whenever that one dies, the soul shift will trigger and it can return itself to your hand, and then you can just play it again and repeat the process. So maintaining that steady stream of aggression and token production, I think would be a lot of fun for this deck. Of all the make multiple versions of this commander, this one is actually pretty unique as far as I'm aware, because it cares about having multiple versions of itself, just like all the other archetypes of this copy self deck. However, it's got this cool, unique way of protecting itself, in the sense that if you have a lot of them in play, you'll always be able to protect itself when it dies, which is really, really cool. And that is going to do it for Kodama of the Center Tree. Really cool card. It's very dependent on Spirit Tribal as far as your deck build-arounds, but there are plenty of ways that you can build around that with having spirits in the deck, which I think is really cool. I think that's a strong evidence to the power level of spirits and the wide variety that you can take spirits in. Really cool tribe, lots of interesting synergies in that tribe itself. So even though it is spirit focused commander, there are a lot of different deck ideas you can take this commander, which is why it has the rank of A. Not quite S tier, not tons of deck ideas, but a lot of good deck ideas, which I think is really fun. So that's going to do it for this commander. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!